Hey y'all, I'm Mandy, and this is Mandy in the Making. It's time for another What's for Dinner. If you are new to my channel, I do this every single week. Every single Friday, I upload a new What's for Dinner. On Mondays, I do grocery hauls. And on Wednesdays, every now and then, I have a little bit of different content, usually farmhouse decor or something else that has to do with cooking. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. Hey y'all, it is Monday and we are getting dinner started. We're having chicken Alfredo tonight with penne pasta and a Caesar salad. First thing I'm gonna do is get started over here and just heat this skillet up to about medium-high heat or so. I'm gonna let that heat up and I'm gonna go prepare the chicken. So we're gonna kind of blacken the chicken a little bit, pretty much. I've got chicken tenders here, and so I'm gonna add the spices to it. All right, the first spice I'm gonna be using is just some black pepper. The second spice we're gonna add is just a little bit of salt. Next, we're gonna do some garlic powder. All right, so now I'm just gonna flip these over and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna start grating up some Parmesan cheese for the sauce. And what I love to use is this. Now this came from IKEA and I've had it for a couple of years now. What I love about it is it's got the larger grated side and then the very small side, but it also has this that you can switch to either side. Since I'm using this side, I'm gonna have the opening come to this side and it's gonna catch all of it for me in here. It's a 5-ounce block of cheese. So I grated it completely up in here. And if you noticed, I had the paper towel underneath. That's because some of it falls on the outside. And that way I can just kind of funnel it in here. There we go. That's the entire block grated up, and that's going to go in the sauce. All right, so now we're going to get started on the sauce. And the first thing we need to do is melt a whole stick of butter. So I'm gonna put that on there and let that melt down. It shouldn't take long. Now that that is melted, I'm gonna add in 2 cups of heavy cream. I'm gonna let this heat through before I add the Parmesan cheese. I wanna make sure that the heavy cream is good and warm, good and hot. And then I'm gonna add in the Parmesan cheese so that it will melt right away. All right, now that this is heated through, I'm gonna add all of this cheese and let it just melt down and thicken up the sauce. My hubby is just adding some black pepper. Lastly, we're just gonna add in a little bit of minced garlic. That's probably equal to about maybe 3 cloves of garlic. We're gonna let that kind of just all mix together and heat through, and then we're gonna add in the noodles. So what we're doing is just kind of mixing all of this up in the bag. That's the easiest way to do it, and then we're gonna pour it in a bowl and top it with the croutons that came with it as well. All right, so this is now completely done, and what we're gonna do is just put this pasta in there and coat it really well. I'm gonna let that sit for just a minute to heat the pasta all the way back through because it had been sitting out for just a minute, and then we're gonna transfer it to this dish, and then it's gonna be time to eat. Hey! How are you? My friend Chrissy is here. I've known her for, how many years have we known each other?
7 years?
Oh my word.
I know, that's crazy. 7 years. Wow.
She's a Mary Kay sales director. She's doing awesome. About to earn her pink Cadillac. She's amazing. Okay, cool. Get some chicken in here. Is that good?
Tasty. The chicken is like juicy. What did you season it with?
We seasoned it with garlic powder, paprika, and salt and pepper. Is it good?
Very good.
Yay!
Very good. Very good. Very good.
Chrissy likes it. Hey y'all, it is Tuesday and I'm getting dinner in the crock pot. Tonight is a very, very simple recipe. Only 3 ingredients. It is crock pot ranch pork chops. I found this through another What's for Dinner, Kristen Stepp's What's for Dinner. She fixed these and it seems really easy and looks really tasty, so I thought we would give it a shot. So all you need is your pork chops, a can of cream of chicken soup, and a packet of the ranch seasoning mix, or 3 tablespoons if you have the larger one like I do. So all we're gonna do is just mix together the cream of chicken soup and the ranch powder. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is just pour a little bit of this soup on the bottom. Now I'm just gonna lay the pork chops on top. And then it just says to cover it with the rest of the soup mixture, but before I do that, I'm gonna throw a little bit of nature seasoning on there, and that just gives it a little extra flavor. All right, and that's seriously it. That's all we have to do. And I'm just gonna put this on low for 4 hours. It's much later in the day. We are gonna be eating soon, so I wanted to get started on some oven roasted potatoes. The first thing I'm gonna do is preheat the oven to 450. This recipe is really simple. You just need about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of red potatoes. You're gonna leave the skins on, so all I'm gonna do is just wash these really quickly. And then I'm going to pretty much kind of cube them. I'll show you that. I'm going to be sprinkling a pack of dry onion soup mix all over them, as well as some, normally we use olive oil, but we're almost out, so we're just gonna use canola oil, about 1/3 cup of that. All I'm gonna do is put them all in here, toss it around, and put them in the oven. Okay, so now I'm just going to drizzle the oil on top of it. It says about 1/3 cup on the recipe. I just kind of eyeball it, just make sure that all of the potatoes get coated. All right, that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to drizzle the onion soup mix on top and then stir it around and coat that as well. So I just lined this pan with some aluminum foil and I'm just going to spray it with some non-stick spray. And I'm just gonna dump my potatoes right on here and stick them in the oven at 450. So now they're going in the oven at 450 for about 40 to 45 minutes.
This gravy is like the best gravy that you can get out of a crock pot. That is amazing. So you got the soft texture of the pork, but the gravy just makes it so juicy, and all the flavor of the chicken. What was it? The chicken stock or the chicken soup? Yeah, chicken soup.
And the ranch.
With the ranch dressing. I mean, gosh, it should be legal.
What
So you
about
got
potatoes?
that. Yeah, so then you get the potatoes, and they have that crunch. That is amazing. That is really good. You just kind of mix this all in together.
Hey y'all, it's Wednesday and we are trying a new recipe tonight for Salisbury steak. Salisbury steak. So, I don't know. Tell me below, is it Salisbury or Salisbury? Anyway, to go along with that, I'm making some green beans, Southern style. So I just have this little frozen bag of green beans. I'm gonna dump this in this pot. And instead of filling it up with water, I'm going to fill it up with chicken broth. It just gives it a lot more flavor. Just barely enough to cover it. I'm gonna put in 1 piece of fatback. Fatback is just basically pork fat that has been dried and salted. So that's a very small piece. I'm gonna put 2 pieces in because they're very small. Yeah. Just gonna pop those in there. And then for seasoning, all I'm gonna do is just sprinkle a little bit of Nature Seasons on there. All right, and I'm just gonna put a lid on that and bring it to a boil, and once it comes up to a boil, I will reduce it down to about low to medium low and let it simmer for at least an hour. The longer the better, but I'm getting this started kind of late, so if you can simmer it for like 2 to 3 hours, that's probably best. So now we're gonna get started on the Salisbury steak, and I'm gonna show you what we need to go in there. We need a pound of ground beef. This is 8812. We need a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. We need 2 teaspoons of ketchup, a half a teaspoon of mustard. It says a half a teaspoon of seasoning salt, but I don't have that, so I'm just gonna use this. I use this for everything. And a 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. I usually just mix things with my hands. I don't know about y'all. Some people don't like the feeling of it. I don't mind it. So here we go. So now I'm getting things ready for the sauce, or the gravy, I guess. And it says you only need 2 tablespoons of onion diced. So I'm just gonna pop these in my little vegetable chopper that I like to use. Okay, so I've had this skillet over here heating up. It's on medium heat. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of canola oil just so nothing sticks. And I'm gonna put these in and let them cook for about 5 minutes on each side. All right, so now in this same pan, I'm just gonna throw in these onions. It's 2 tablespoons of diced onion. And I'm just going to let those kind of soften up and saute. And in the last 30 seconds or so, I'm gonna throw in a couple of teaspoons of minced garlic. All right, so now I'm just gonna add in 2 cups of water. And I'm gonna let that come to a boil before I add in anything else. So now that this water is boiling, I'm going to put in 2 packs of brown gravy mix. And I'm gonna whisk that around until it's really good and combined. All right, now that I've combined the gravy in there, I'm gonna add about a half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce and about a teaspoon of ketchup. I'm gonna mix that around. And now I'm just going to place my hamburger patties back in there and allow it to cook on low all together for about 2 to 3 minutes. All right, this is our true first impression. It looks and smells really good. That's really tasty. I love the onion. It's not too soft. There's a little bit of crunch there. That gravy is really good. Hey y'all, it is Thursday and I am getting a very late start to dinner, so it's gonna go in the crock pot on high. But this is a new recipe to us. It is called crock pot, or you could do it in the Instant Pot. You just have to change a couple of things. Garlic, Parmesan, chicken, and potatoes. Found this on Pinterest. So all it is 2 pounds of chicken breast cut into 1-inch pieces, so that's already in there. And I've already seasoned that with a little bit of nature's seasoning. It just says salt and pepper, but I love nature's seasoning. I use it on everything, so I seasoned that up. In there, I'm gonna throw these potatoes. It's about 1 pound of red potatoes, and they are cubed or diced. And then there's a couple of cloves of garlic minced, a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, and a tablespoon of garlic powder, about 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and about a tablespoon of olive oil. All that's gonna go in there, and I'm just gonna kind of mix it around and coat it really well and let it cook on high for about 3 hours. All right, everything is in there. I have kind of tossed it around to make sure everything is coated really well. I'm gonna put the lid on and I'm gonna set it to high for 3 hours. It's been 3 hours and the chicken is done, so I'm gonna add this whole bag of shredded Parmesan cheese. Like I said, it's 1.5 cups. This calls for a cup, but I'm just gonna dump the whole thing on there. And we're just gonna let that melt all over the top of it for about 10 to 15 minutes. And while we wait on that, I'm gonna pop some broccoli in the microwave.
The chicken is super tender, really good. There's tons of flavor on it. I mean, you can really taste the herbs, the
Italian seasoning.
The Italian seasoning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a flavor explosion.
It really is.
It's really good.
All right, y'all heard it from Steven. He's my chef. My sous chef and my critic. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you did. And I will see y'all next week. Bye.